Dee 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 da 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 dee da dum dee 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 da dum dee 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 da dum dee 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 da 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 dum. Mobile, the Gnome-Mobile, riding along in our Gnome-Mobile. Hey everybody! Wow, lots joining in. Hey Jared,
Hey,
how's it going?
good. How are you?
I was whistling the song,
I heard it.
and I even did the honk honk.
Honk honk.
All right, let's see who we got in the chat today. Oh, Zach Brady, how you doing? Quinstagram, Flo Daddy,
Hello, Daddy.
Jim Holyfield. All right, hi Jim. Matthew 17 Giving, Brady Couture. I love that name. That's such a cool.
Brady guitar.
Sarah Stewart Lee, Biddy Whale. And if you guys can't stay on the whole time, I'll post this on my Instagram page. Yeah, I figured out how to archive live videos so we don't lose it.
Well, that's great.
I lost a video this week because I forgot to archive it. So, yeah, Jared and I are going to be talking about my worst favorite or my least favorite and his favorite. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
I really like this movie, but tell us a little bit why you picked the Gnome-Mobile.
Okay, so, well, last time we talked, I mentioned that it was my favorite one from the Walt era. My favorite live action one, I should say, from the Walt era. And I think it's because, you remember, well, I don't know, when I was growing up, on the Disney Channel, they would always have like a free preview weekend on cable.
Ah, I know, I love that, and I would record it
And I would
on
record it
my
all the
VCR.
time.
Yep, and even though
And
it had the 1-800 number and the little logo in the corner, who cares?
totally,
Yep.
totally. And so I recorded or the Gnome-Mobile, and for some reason I just fell in love with it. It was just I hadn't seen, I guess, anything like it before. It was goofy, but it was fun, and it was pure Disney, and the kids from the Mary Poppins were in it,
Hmm.
and so I just had a blast, and I watched it all the time. And I think I also realized too that it wasn't necessarily a popular one. Everybody knew Mary Poppins, everybody knew Pete's Dragon, everybody knew Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but not a lot of people knew the Gnome-Mobile.
Yeah, it's not very popular, which is kind of I don't know if confusing is the right word, but interesting why it's not.
To me, it's a shame,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but
So, what do you got? Let's well, here's what I got going on for the Gnome-Mobile tonight, and I forgot to do this last week when we did the Parent Trap, but I've got a lobby card set and the envelope that it came in.
oh, I'm so jealous of
This
that.
is from a re-release in 1976. That's what that R76 means.
Okay,
So the film was released in 1966, I believe.
67,
Is it
July of
60? Yeah,
67.
July 67, and 9 years later they re-released it. And I've got, of course, my DVD copy because that's the only way you can watch it. It's probably available for streaming on Amazon, I think, or iTunes.
It is on iTunes, yeah.
Yeah.
I broke down and purchased it because it was HD and it was widescreen, so
Oh, there you go. I'm waiting for it to come on to Disney Plus so I can
I
have it.
know.
I don't know why is it not on Disney Plus. Who knows? And then I have the Storyteller album, ST 3946. So this is a really cool album that has. Let me open it up here. It's kind of falling apart. Oh,
Oh no.
sad. But it's cool. It's got like it lists the cast right there, and then it just as you listen to the record, it'll go through the whole story. So maybe while you're
And I
going
love
through the plot today, I'll just kind of
Oh, that's a good idea.
this will be a nice little a memory jogger
That's a
for
great
you.
idea.
So that, and then I've got the lobby card set. So what do you got? Let's see.
Well, okay, so anybody who follows my account knows that I have the VHS from from the release in the 80s. I actually have a second one down here. I have a couple copies of it on beta as well. And then I have well, this is actually the book that it was based on, the Gnome-Mobile, in one word, up in St. Clair.
Uh-huh.
So I have the book, and then I believe this is the like the movie adaptation.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
they
know how
released a
sometimes,
lot of those. Yep.
yeah, they sometimes there's a book that, yeah, it's retold by Mary Carey, is what it is. So it was like
Mary
rewritten for it.
Carey.
Yeah.
I wonder if she did
Not,
other books for Disney,
it's quite
like
possible.
the readaptation or the film version.
Yeah, maybe, maybe so.
I don't collect
Um,
those, so I'd have to do some research on it.
this is like this one I bought from on eBay a while ago. It's a comic book
Is that a
uh,
Dell comic?
for the Gnome-Mobile. It is a Gold Key comic.
Gold
Looks
Key?
like.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my friend, oh, well, then I also have the record as well, the storybook record. And then this is like the single. It's just the
Oh, the
title.
single. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
Is
my
that a,
brother,
what's the catalog number on that one? I'm just curious.
let's see, where would I
Upper
find that?
right-hand corner.
LG
Right there.
791.
LG
LG 7.
791. Okay. I think that's like I'm not a record expert, but I'm starting to become one. But I'm not familiar with LG. That might be like a little golden record or something. I know
Little Gem.
Little
This is a
Gem. Okay.
this is a Walt Disney Little Gem record.
That's what the LG stands for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this is a um it is a actually Japanese, I believe.
I took
Uh
Japanese in college,
oh, you did?
so I
Is that
could read a little
Japanese?
bit. Zoom in on it a little bit. Yep. Yeah, at the top says uh, Walt Disney. Walt
So
Disney's
Walt
film.
Disney.
Yeah, Walt Disney's film. And then that is the small person in the forests. The story about the small people in the forest. That's what that's translated to. So
I mean,
yeah,
it's not lying.
I know. So yeah, that's kind of
And then
that's
my
how the
favorite,
Japanese title the films that they show from the States. They very
well, I would
literal.
imagine some of the words don't translate.
Hmm.
Uh, I would imagine so, like they do in English. And then this one's my favorite. It is a press kit, kind of, for the Gnome-Mobile, where it basically has a whole bunch of different articles about the film. And what's interesting
Oh, those
too,
are cool to
it's
find.
like an ad pad.
Hmm.
So back, when there were paper newspapers and you go to the movies, they would print, or they would show like a mini poster and then the times beside it and the
Hmm.
theater that it went to. And so these
Right.
were all the options that they could use. Apparently there was a coloring contest, all sorts of advertising stuff. So I really enjoyed that. My friend got me this for my birthday a long time ago, but it's
That
my
is so
favorite.
cool that you have the press kit. Those are hard to find nowadays.
They are,
So
yeah,
you really
especially the older
scored.
ones.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to work at a movie theater, so I have press kits from movies in the
Oh,
90s,
well,
but
there you
no.
go. Yeah. I need to find a movie theater friend. Well,
Hey,
hopefully we're
well,
friends. So let's see. Day one list asked, what are we showing? Well, we are showing off Jared's Gnome-Mobile collection. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Gnome-Mobile. So I'll just kind of go over a little introduction, talk about the cast a little bit, and then Jared's going to go through the plot because this movie may not be super familiar. And then after that, we'll share some fun facts. And then if you have any questions along the way about the Gnome-Mobile or any of the actors in this film, then ask away in the chat. And I'm not sure if Chris is going to join or not. He said he was pretty tired today. No excuse. But we chatted online for about an hour and a half today. We had some stuff to talk about. So Chris may or may not be online. That's Disney Chris, my podcast partner. So we'll see. We'll see if he's going to come in. I don't know. So the Gnome-Mobile was released on July 12th, 1967. And it was directed by one of our favorite Disney film directors, Robert Stevenson. Uh-oh, somebody says it's boring. Well, we're going to try to hype it up for you, Ala Garcia online.
Wait, what's boring? The talk or the movie?
The talk. Well, maybe. Maybe us talking. Yeah, we're boring. No. Maybe he doesn't like the movie. Well, everybody has their opinion. So Robert Stevenson. So what are some of the other things he did? Can you recall offhand?
Well, yes, actually, I was wondering if I could just list them all really quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Going through it, it's pretty amazing what he actually directed, and I don't think people know. So in order, starting in 1957, he directed Johnny Tremaine.
That was his first one. Yep.
The same year, he also directed Old Yeller. He directed Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which we can talk
ties.
about.
Yeah. Strong ties.
Reminiscence of Gnome-Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Kidnapped in 1959, but he also wrote the script for that one as well.
I love that movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Based on the book by Robert Louis Stevenson.
I'm wondering if he tried to do that on purpose.
I don't know.
I mean, he had already built up a pretty good resume at Disney at that point. Yeah.
All right, what else do we got?
The Absent-Minded Professor.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
In Search of the Castaway, starring Haley Mills.
Yeah, we'll give him one on that.
Oh well, we'll give him another one a little bit later
on. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know he had a few flops.
The sequel to Absent-Minded Professor, The Son of Flubber.
I love that.
He did Misadventures of Merlin Jones and its sequel, The Monkey's Uncle.
Wow, man.
And then I don't know if anybody's heard of this one, but he directed Mary Poppins.
Nope, never heard of it.
He directed That Darn Cat.
Oh gosh, that's one of the best comedies ever. All right.
He directed Blackbeard's Ghost.
One of the best comedies ever.
Dean Jones, yep. He directed The Love Bug.
One of the best comedies ever.
And the highest grossing film of, was it 69 or 68?
Yeah, technically the release date was in 68. It had a limited release and then it went wide in January, I think. Yeah, but it's a 69 movie.
Oh, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. He directed Bedknobs and Broomsticks. He directed the sequel to Love Bug, Herbie Rides Again. He directed The Island at the Top of the World.
That is a great movie. I love that movie.
I need to revisit that one again.
Yeah,
I know I watched it in my challenge, but
it just showed up on Disney Plus, so yeah, it's.
I'll definitely watch that.
It's a good one.
He directed The Shaggy DA in 1976.
Wow.
And then he also directed the terrible film One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing.
Oh.
Which is so interesting to me because last week I said it was the worst movie ever. And then, of course, the Gnome-Mobile. He redeemed himself with the Gnome-Mobile, so. I felt that was very...
Like, what was... so he did the Gnome-Mobile and the next one was the Love Bug. What was right before that? Would that have been...
Blackbeard's Ghost.
Blackbeard's Ghost. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, wow. I mean, Robert Stevenson has quite the library for Disney. And one of the best live-action directors that the company has ever known or ever will know.
I agree.
In my opinion.
I agree.
So the Gnome-Mobile he directed along with, well, his co-producer was James Algar. And if you are familiar with the True Life Adventure film series, you'll know James Algar well because he directed, produced, and wrote most of those And so you get a little true life adventure feel in the Gnome-Mobile, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
Hmm.
And then I'm just going to kind of rattle off a few names that contributed to this gorgeous movie. I feel it's just got a lot of great visuals. So photography was Edward Coleman, and the set decorators Emil Curie and Hal Gossman. So those guys did an awesome job, especially the forest scenes are all on set. So they had to like
Amazing.
get the trees in there, and they actually got a lot of natural plants like ferns, and then to create the forest floor, they just took bark off of the trees that they brought in and just spread that all on the set. So it looked really nice. And let's see. The second unit director, Arthur J. Vitarelli, I'm going to talk about him a little bit when we share some fun facts. So he was a second unit director on a lot of films. And of course, the matte artistry by Peter Ellenshaw. Without Peter Ellenshaw, I don't think we have a lot of. I don't think the Disney movies are that successful because
I
he just created these gorgeous backgrounds that really blend into the live action.
I would agree, and I think like rewatch because I rewatched this one again this weekend. I even said that I could rewatch it again tonight. I just love it. But I noticed the matte paintings, especially, and we'll get to it, but especially like in the some of the forest scenes, the asylum scene when they're on the roof,
You mean the
or
sanatorium?
the sanatory. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
uh, and it's just it's just beautiful to begin with, but B, it's just pure Disney.
Yeah. One of my favorites is you can clearly tell that it's a matte painting, but it's right at the beginning of the film when you're in Mulroney's office building and he's at his desk and you
Oh
could see
yes,
a gorgeous matte painting of the Golden Gate Bridge and even the wall that's to his right, that's all matte painting. And it's just brilliant artistry. And we love you, Peter Ellenshaw. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to make these movies
absolutely.
beautiful. And you got to mention the special effects guys, Eustace Lycett and Robert A. Mattey. And
Mm.
we'll probably talk about some of those later. And then a name that kind of jumped out to me was Sam McKim. He was the art stylist. So if you're a big Disneyland map fan, you know Sam McKim because he designed a lot of those early Disneyland maps, those big giant wall maps
Wow.
from
Oh yeah, yeah.
1958 to 1964. Those were all his designs, and the detail that he put into those are amazing. And so that kind of shows through a lot in this movie, his artistry. So thanks, Sam McKim.
Those are the maps that like Walt would use on his program.
They were sold as souvenirs in the park.
Oh,
They're
got it. Okay,
just
okay.
giant fold-out maps. I mean, they're. I have one hanging on my wall in my Disney room,
Hmm.
and it basically takes up the whole space between two windows in that room.
Wow.
It's I can't even tell you what the exact measurement is, but when I took it into Michael's to get it framed, they're like, "We don't frame stuff this big," but Joanne's did. So,
Nice.
and of course, there is a great Sherman Brothers song, the Gnome-Mobile, and oh, I probably should mention the the guy who wrote the music, Buddy Baker. Not one of his most impressive soundtracks, in my opinion, but uh, during the opening credits, you could get a real feel for Buddy Baker's sound, his Disneyland sound in this movie. So he hasn't ever written anything that I don't like. So,
Yeah, I love the opening credits
mhm.
music a lot.
So the cast. I'm going to open up my album here because the album has the cast
Good.
list. So there it is. Okay, well, Walter Brennan at the top. So Walter Brennan is DJ Mulrooney and Nobby. He had a dual role. So we'll talk about his dual role, but it's so akin to Haley Mills a little.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, but he did two roles. He was the what would you call him? The protagonist slash antagonist, kind of. Probably the protagonist. Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah,
he had
because he changed his ways as soon as he found out what was going on. It's
yeah
not like he was.
yeah. He's an antagonist turn protagonist turn antagonist and protagonist. He kind of it's interesting, but Nobby is the gnome that he plays, and of course the Mary Poppins kids, which is funny
Mhm.
because in the opening credits, it shows the Mary Poppins kids, Matthew Garber and Karen Dotrice, and then we've got some lesser known folks, but folks that many Disney fans will know, like Richard Deacon. And I
Mhm.
kind of wrote down like what all these guys starred in. Richard Deacon, he played Ralph Yarby, sort of like DJ Mulroney's like his businessman, like his secondhand guy. And he was in movies like That Darn Cat, if you remember the scene at the drive-in. He was the survival guide narrator in Lieutenant Robin Crusoe, USN. He was I think the dean of Godolphin College in Blackbeard's Ghost, and he had a small part in the one and only genuine original Family Band. And one of my favorite Disney performances he was in was the Annette serial on the Mickey Mouse Club. He was Annette's uncle.
Yes, he like
Yeah,
Uncle Archie or something, right?
yeah, Uncle Archie.
Uncle Archie, yeah.
So what makes this movie a lot of fun for me is the cast, and there's so many awesome names. Tom Lowell is Jasper the gnome,
Hmm.
and he was in That Darn Cat, Canoe. Remember that movie?
Canoe, yep.
Yeah, kind of an interesting character in that movie. Just like he just loved making sandwiches and bugging the heck out of Haley Mills, and he loves surfing movies. Sean McCory he's the antagonist in this one. He's Horatio Quaxton, kind of a very eccentric, crazy carnival owner. What was the name of his
Uh,
venture? Oh,
it
I wrote
was
it down somewhere.
darn it. I don't remember it
Yeah,
offhand. I'm sorry.
we'll get to it. But he was also in a few Disney movies. He voiced a couple of characters in Mary Poppins. He was a hound and a reporter. He was Kurt Russell's dad in Follow Me Boys. You know, the guy that
Oh
brought like
yes,
all the melted ice cream to the
yes, yes.
to the Boy Scout meeting. Oh, that was so hard to watch. He was a police sergeant in The Happiest Millionaire. Right at the end of the movie, when they're singing the song "Let's Have a Drink" on it,
Hmm. That's the
and
one I remember him most
yeah,
from.
yeah, he was in that. And then he was on a couple of Disney Wonderful World of Color episodes, The Swamp Fox and The Adventures of Gallagher. Of course, Ed Wynn, who we all know and love. I mean, everybody knows Ed Wynn. This was his last theatrical role. He actually passed away before this was released. But we know him from so many things, like Mary Poppins, for Love of Willadine.
For Love of
Yeah,
Willadine, yes. Alice in
and
Wonderland.
yeah, the
He was the
voices
Mad
in
Hatter.
Alice in Wonderland. I didn't write down the Ed Wynn stuff, but
Oh, I did. Like,
oh,
and
the
pulled up
son
really
of
quick.
Flubber, and I think yeah. What else do you got?
For Ed Wynn, it's That Darn Cat. He was in
Oh,
Those
of course,
Callaways.
Mr. Hofstetter. Yeah, those Cowboys, right?
Mary Poppins. He was in Absent Minded Professor, and then Mary Poppins,
Yeah,
Uncle Albert.
Uncle Albert.
What's interesting too, you said this was Ed Wynn's last or final theatrical film. It was also Matthew Garber's as
Yeah,
well,
that's right. Hmm. Sad.
which is, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, I read that he passed away from tuberculosis or something or he got sick while in South America somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mention those two, Matthew Garber, Karen Dotrice, of course, Mary Poppins, and the Three Lives of Thomasina. They were both. Every Disney movie they were in is, I mean, when they acted for Disney, they were acting together in the same movie
Yep.
until, of course, Matthew's passing.
And then the only
So,
other thing she did for Disney was the cameo in Mary Poppins
yeah,
Returns.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the rest of these actors are really cool because they come from a lot of famous movies, like Jerome Cohen, Dr. Ramsay. You may know him from as the prosecutor in Miracle on 34th Street, the one that was trying to prove that Kris Kringle wasn't the actual Santa Claus. And
Oh,
Charles,
yes.
yeah, he's great. And Charles Lane is like this guy. Charles Lane is like one of the best character actors to ever come out of Hollywood. Just an awesome guy. Like J.M. Carpe Diem says, she hasn't seen it yet. Well, we're going to talk about it, so hopefully you'll stick around, and we're going to go through it a little bit. Maybe get you a little excited to go to Amazon Prime or iTunes to watch this. So anyways, Charles Lane. Character actors are kind of a thing of the past. Disney had a lot of great character actors. Of course, the golden age of Hollywood, character actors were very popular, and then they were just well-rounded folks who signed contracts with these studios and were always available to fill these small roles, and that's something that you don't really see today in the movies. So Charles Lane, okay, I'm a big Frank Capra fan. I love Frank Capra films. Every couple of years, I'll just go through all of them and watch them. And Charles Lane was in quite a few of them, like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life. He's Potter's rent collector in that. He was in State of the Union with Spencer Tracy, Kathleen Hepburn. He also did a lot of musicals, and one of the most famous ones was The Music Man. He was a constable in that. And for Disney, he was the judge at the dog show in The Ugly Dachshund, and had a small role in My Dog the Thief. And one of my favorite roles that he did for Disney was an animated film. He was the voice of George in The Aristocats.
Oh, nice.
That's Charles Lane.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned My Dog the Thief. Robert Stevenson also directed that one as well.
Oh, did he? Yeah, that's
yes.
a TV. That's a Wonderful World of Color episode that is on Disney Plus. Can you believe that? It's so random that movie's on there. Huh? So yeah, it's I just don't know why it's on there. It's not the best TV special, but it's still pretty fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
At least they didn't hack it up.
Let's finish off the cast here. Norm Grabowski. He's just that lovable stud kind of goofy guy in a lot of Disney films. Like he's the guy that gets the black eye in Blackbeard's Ghost. He's in both The Misadventures of Merlin Jones and The Monkey's Uncle. It's kind of like Tommy Kirk's rival.
Yep.
And that he was in The Son of Flubber. He was the lineman. Kept trying to tackle the Flubber suit guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really weird role in The Happiest Millionaire that just didn't fit his character type. If you remember.
What? He was like a boxing Bible student, wasn't he?
And he was supposed to be a little sophisticated, but and kind of rough around the edges at the same time. But it was just weird seeing him walking around in a tuxedo in that movie.
It's funny. I was thinking about that because I was looking him up as well, and I was thinking, man, I remember him in Son of Flubber. That's when he first started, and then he goes to college, and now he's got a job at. I feel like all these characters that he's done is kind of like
you follow his
up.
career, right?
he was he worked at the sanitarium. What did we call it in the Gnome-Mobile?
Well, according to Leonard Maltin, he calls it the sanitarium. Yeah, the nut house.
He worked there.
Yeah, he was a nurse there.
Maybe he lost his job and decided to become a Bible boxer.
Yeah, he moved east to Philadelphia. Right? And he was in The Horse with the Gray Flannel Suit and Herbie Rides Again. I'm
Yep.
scratching my head trying to remember those roles. But Gil Lamb is another one of those Disney character actors that was in a lot of Disney movies. So he was the milkman in The Ugly Dachshund. He was a waiter, that waiter in Blackbeard's Ghost that kept spilling the salad everywhere. The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit. He was a policeman in The Love Bug. And a movie that I need to revisit. He was Mr. Mitchell in The Boatniks. That's
Yeah,
got a loyal following. A lot of people love that movie.
I actually need to revisit that one as well. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that one.
I watched it once when I was going through my challenge. So, yeah, feel
Yeah.
free to ask any questions about any of these guys or mention your favorite films. And
One
I didn't
thing.
really go over anybody else. I missed Maudie Prickett and Cammie Sebring, who was Violet. Maudie Prickett, I think, was like Mulroney's secretary. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
go
then
for
the
it.
only other one is Susan Henning did play, like she was Haley Mills's twin double in The Parent Trap, but then apparently she was an uncredited Gnome-Maiden. I tried finding out which one
Yeah, I think she's in the
she
blue.
was.
I have a lobby card. I think you can make her out here. So I think she's in one. And her sister was also a Gnome-maiden.
Oh wow,
I looked that up. Bunny Henning.
Bunny Henny.
Yeah.
And then so it's actually called Quaxton's Academy of Freaks. We'll get into it later.
Yeah.
But they're when they go there and they get a gun pulled on them by the couple who live at the academy or
Oh,
whatever.
right. Yeah, they're like
The
his
woman,
caretakers.
his caretakers, yes. The woman, I thought I recognized her from a whole bunch of Disney stuff, but when I looked it up, maybe I just watched the Gnome-Mobile one too many times.
I know she had a very familiar face, and I looked at the entire cast like on IMDb. I couldn't find her.
Her name is Ellen Corby.
Okay.
And the only other Disney movie, well, she did A Wonderful World of Disney, Mystery of Edward Sims, and then she
Oh,
also
okay.
was in Napoleon and Samantha in the 70s. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I got her confused maybe with who's the actress? She played Verbena in Parent Trap.
Oh, Una Merkel.
I think I got her a little bit mixed up with
Oh, okay.
her.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. So, all right. Well, that's the cast. Like I said, lots of fun names, lots of great Disney names, and some that you wouldn't expect to see in a Disney film, like the Dr. Ramsey's character. I already forgot his name. James Jerome Cohen. Yeah. But Walt had a knack for hiring the best of Hollywood to act in his films, and honestly, I'm surprised a lot of them said yes. But I think the word had gotten around about how fun it was to work on the Disney studio, and I think people just kind of jumped at the opportunity when it was presented to them by
Hmm.
Walt to be a part of that, campus life that everybody like raved about. So that's the cast, and you want to kind of go through the plot of the film, and then as we do that, I can share some fun facts, and you can share some that you've got.
Sure.
I'll just kind of pay attention to the chat. We did have one comment from Alice 97 Horse, and the Gray Flannel Suit is one of my favorites. Yeah, that's a great movie. Yeah, I love that movie. It's
Well,
a Dean
Jones is
Jones,
great.
Diane Baker, Kurt Russell.
Norman.
Yeah, Norm Grabowski, our favorite jock. Yeah, that's such a good film. It's like probably not one of Dean Jones' most popular, and a lot of people are surprised to know that Kurt Russell was in it. And his daughter, I'm blanking on her name. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
You're so much better with the names, by the way, than I am.
I just watched these movies too many times. I'll tell you. I can't look it up because I'm not online. But somebody look up the name of the girl in The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit. She passed away tragically in a house fire which was sad because she probably would have been in a few more movies. Yeah, but she was great in that. Good movie. Yeah, thanks. Maybe we'll do a show on that, or we'll pick a Dean Jones movie and maybe get into that a little bit
Yeah, that'd be fun.
next time. All right, take it away. Take it away,
Well,
Jared.
you had mentioned the matte painting for the office of DJ Mulrooney, who was this lumber tycoon played by Walter Brennan, and up in San Francisco. So it starts in his building, and he's getting his affairs together really quickly because he needs to go pick up a package at the airport. The package is his two grandchildren, played by the Mary Poppins kids. And apparently the first thing they decide to do is go into the woods and have a picnic. So, things
Yeah,
I think were a little bit...
they're on their way to Seattle, and I think it was time for a pit stop.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on his way to Seattle to close the deal or something, and he invited his grandkids along. So
Instead of saying, you know what, just fly to Seattle and meet me there. But, I think that's great, because if that had happened, this story would not have happened.
right.
So
Here we go.
So they're in a Rolls Royce. He has a Rolls Royce that he drives in. It's a fancy car. And one of my favorite lines from this movie that I always quoted when I was younger too is Rodney, the grandson. It's Rodney and Elizabeth. And Rodney's commenting on the car. And he goes, "What kind of car is this?" And the grandfather's like, "Oh, this is a Rolls Royce, blah, blah, blah. It's like one of the greatest cars." And Rodney,
Right.
Rodney goes, "Well, you know what? When I buy a car, I want to buy a Maserati." And
And he
Elizabeth
says it
goes,
in his English accent so
"He
well.
does.
Maserati. Which
Maserati."
is kind of odd because why do his grandkids have an English accent? I couldn't figure that out.
It's all, yeah, well,
It's
why did,
Disney.
but then Elizabeth retorts, "Oh, Rodney, you're always talking so big." And that's my favorite. That's my favorite lines from this movie. It just shows, because these two have grown up since Mary Poppins, and you can
Uh-huh.
kind of tell just the way that they were talking.
Yeah.
So anyway,
They
they go
had
into
really good rapport
they
at
did.
that time, yeah.
They really did.
Alice got the name of that actor right. Thanks, Alice. Ellen Yanov
Oh,
was the actress in The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit. Thanks. Thanks
thank
for
you,
looking that up.
Alan. Or thank you, Alice. So they go into the woods. They go into the forest, and they have a picnic. Well, Grandpa and Rodney are setting up the picnic, and Elizabeth decides that she just wants to go for a quick walk. So she goes out and walks around in the forest for a little bit. And meanwhile, the camera cuts to a little gnome named Jasper. He's sitting there with his forest friends, like a raccoon and some birds and an
Hmm.
owl. And he's like, I need to talk to her. And they're like, "No, don't do it. She's a dudine." They call humans a dudines.
They do. And those animals that Jasper's talking to are actually audio animatronic figures.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, Disney had already created several audio animatronics, and here we get to see an example of some in a live action film, which was cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, except for the raccoon's neck. What was up with that? That raccoon was like, I don't think the hydraulics were working too good on that neck. It was really, I don't know, it was very shifty. I don't know what to say. Okay,
You know what? That it adds to its charm.
it does. I thought it was hilarious.
But despite what they say, he decides that he just needs to talk to her. So he shows himself to Elizabeth, and he said, "My grandfather is fading away. I need help," basically. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, my grandpa can help you. My grandfather's the best, so he'll help you." So she goes to get her grandfather and Rodney. And she goes, I found a gnome in the forest. They don't necessarily believe her, but they
Yeah.
walk out there to humor her. And when she goes to call for Jasper, he just does not answer. She's like, come out, and he won't, because the forest friends again are like, you know what, Grandpa looks a little too sketch. And she starts crying because Jasper's not answering, and then finally Jasper shows himself, and everybody's surprised, and Rodney has a mouthful of peanut butter and jelly, and
Yeah, which he finally found at the bottom of the picnic basket. That was his dilemma in the forest the whole time.
That was a giant picnic basket too.
Yeah,
Look
wow.
under those 85 sandwiches for three of
Right.
us.
Sheesh. Who were they expecting to feed?
Well, so Jasper shows himself to them, and he brings them to his grandfather, who is literally fading away in like a tree stump. But what the interesting, and his grandfather's name is
neat
Nobby.
special effects there.
Yes.
Because he's like partly invisible, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he is also played by Walter Brennan, who is playing Grandpa. And Jasper goes, Grandpa, I found some help. And he's like, oh, that's nice. And he goes, it's from some Dudins. And the grandpa's like, oh, that's nice. And as soon as he realized that it was a Dudin, he completely snapped into full picture again. He wasn't fading away and started yelling.
Yeah, he was good at that. Oh my gosh, that was Walter Brennan's like just Oscar-winning performance. I loved it. He would go off in these like tirades. I hate Dudins. They cut down all our trees. Timber to
the left.
Yep.
But they were finally able to convince him, you know what, we're here to help. So they all get in the car. Oh, meanwhile, I forgot to say, when they were driving at first, they called the Rolls Royce a jaunting car, and they sang a song.
Mm-hmm.
Jaunting car, jaunting car. There's the title
Driving
song.
along in my jaunting car. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I had to look up what a jaunting car was. It's a two-wheeled carriage pulled by one horse. That's why he mentioned to Rodney that when I was your age, my car had 1 horsepower. It was called a jaunting car, and they went into the song.
1 horsepower.
1 horsepower.
When I grow up, I want a Maserati.
That's right.
So they get in the car again. The grandfather goes, oh, I have some forest a couple hours away from here. We can go check there, but I bet you there are a lot of gnomes there. So they get in the car, and they're driving along, and they changed the name to the Gnome-Mobile.
Mm-hmm. We should probably mention like the whole reason why.
Yes.
He's fading away because they don't believe there's any gnomes left, and so they need to find a forest where they can look for more gnomes. But the big objective is to find a Gnome-maiden for Jasper, so they can like perpetuate their race.
Yes, because that's why Grandpa's fading away. There's no point anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yes, that was a key. Thank you. That was a key story point that I forgot.
I'm here to back you up, man.
Well, so they're driving along, and then they're like, you know, we can't make it by tonight. So we're gonna stop off at a motel. I'm gonna stick you guys in a picnic basket, and sneak you into the hotel. And they're in the lobby getting ready to check into the hotel, and the hotel owner, you know, Nobby, the grandfather gnome, he's very ornery, he's very loud, and he made some noises that the people in the lobby could hear, and the hotel owner goes, you're not allowed to have pets in here.
Right.
Now, they're not pets. These are not pets. These are geese for they're business geese for a business trade or whatever. And
so before the name of the hotel they go in is called the Cedar Creek Lodge, and you see a sign under that says a Mulrooney Hotel. So he's staying at a place that he owns, but The guy at the front desk doesn't realize this yet.
Does not realize it.
No.
No.
It's
While
how do you not
while
know this is?
well, while this commotion is happening, Rodney's wandering around the lobby, and he notices this man who is setting up a sign
This guy.
for
Dun, dun, dun.
yes, he's setting up a sign in the lobby for the Quaxton Academy of Freaks, and gives Rodney 2 free tickets to the freak show. And Rodney's like, okay, and goes back to the counter, and the man who's checking in, Mulrooney, was like, I don't care if they're geese or not, you're not allowed to have pets. And he goes to rip up the form and realizes that it's Mulrooney, and he goes, oh, Mulrooney, Mr. Mulrooney, I'm so sorry. He says Mulrooney pretty loudly, and Quaxton overhears. So Quaxton's very interested in what's going on. Rodney turns up, the gnomes start getting really loud at this point. Rodney turns up his music to kind of drown out the screaming, and they quickly get into their hotel room. This part is a little bizarre to me, but as soon as they get in, the first thing DJ Mulroney does is say, you know what, it's nighttime. I'm going to take you, grandson, and I'm going to go get my car oil changed.
What? It's such an odd. It's for the convenience of the plot. I think
It is, yes.
What's the first thing you do when you arrive to a hotel late at night and you're about ready to hit the sack? Go get an oil change.
Go get an oil change. So he goes and gets his oil changed. And while he's there, Quaxton knows that he's gone. So he looks in the window at Elizabeth, who stayed behind with the gnomes.
Oh, we're still on this picture.
The gnomes,
yeah.
Yes. He sees the gnomes. So he decides to call Elizabeth's room and pretend and lie and say that the grandfather has been in a car accident.
Yeah, how evil is this?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh my gosh, no, not grandfather!" So she runs. she
Yeah.
She runs out the door, leaves the gnomes, and Quaxton runs in and steals the gnomes.
There he is. He's got Jasper by the tail.
He literally does.
No. Yep. And Karen Dautrice is running off, singing about putting toads in beds and pepper in tea. So, okay.
Yeah. So, so of course, when she gets to the oil change place, the car is like really high up.
Yep.
And she's like, "They told me on the telephone that you were hurt." And he's like, "Oh no, get in the car. We're leaving."
Yeah, he knows something's up.
He knows something's up. So they drive out. They go to the hotel. He's gone. The gnomes are gone. And at this point, they don't know it's Quaxton. So he calls. He doesn't want to call the police because the police would probably lock him up, thinking that, why is he reporting gnomes? But he feels like he can trust his employee, Mr. Yarby.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he calls Mr. Yarby and he said, "Look, they've been kidnapped." Now, see, with almost every single Disney film, you have to just suspend disbelief, because why wouldn't he just say, "I saw a gnome"? Like, if I can trust you, I can see no. I saw a gnome and they got stolen. Instead, he said they've been kidnapped. Well, of course, anybody would think that the children have been kidnapped, not the gnomes.
Right.
So it's a coincidence, because at this time, also at night, because they're in the same time zone, Mr. Yarby is getting a full physical from his doctor. And so when he got the phone call, when he's getting a physical and he hears that DJ is said that the gnomes were stolen, he says, "I need you to repeat that again," and gets the doctor to lift up the other telephone to hear it.
Yep.
I didn't. I guess a lot of this kind of stuff I realized on this viewing, and so Yarby goes, "Stay there. I'll be right there. I'm going to fly up there, and we'll get. I know a place we can go to." So he flies up there, and he brings DJ to who he says is a detective. The detective would be able to help them find the gnomes, but really it is an asylum.
Yeah, Shady Oaks.
Shady Oaks Asylum.
Is that or Five Oaks? Oh, Five Oaks Asylum or Five Oaks Sanitarium. You know, it's funny. I'm looking through the storyteller, and it doesn't even get into the Nut House because this is an album for kids. I'm like, they totally skipped over. You know, that's the thing with the storyteller albums. They're not very faithful to the original film. They try not to give too much away. I just think it's funny that they don't even mention the plot or the ploy Yarby employs to get Mulrooney into the Nut House because he thinks, you know, he's got gnomes that have been kidnapped, so he's nuts.
I will say these are not my favorites of the scenes once he goes into the Nut House, but
yeah,
I mean, I if there's any part of the movie that drags for me, it's this part. But basically, Grandpa gets locked up, and the children find out about this, and they're like, you know, we got to go rescue Grandpa. But it's time to go to sleep, and so Grandpa's asleep, and the children they take the Rolls Royce, the Gnome-Mobile, and they drive it with Elizabeth on the ground pressing the pedals and Rodney steering the car.
I know.
And
they're pretty good at it.
They're pretty good at it.
He knocked over a couple of trees and backed into another car, but for the most part, I'm just surprised that Rodney noticed that there was a sanitarium up on the way to the hotel they were saying. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know where he is. It's just down the road. I saw it on the way up here." You know, he had time to peek out the window while they were singing the Gnome-Mobile song, and you know, very observant little guy.
Well, they get there, and Elizabeth goes, "Well, how do you know which room Grandfather's going to be in?" And he goes, "Oh, I'll know. Nobody can snore like Grandfather." So he climbs up the drain pipe onto the roof, and he's walking past the windows, and he hears his grandfather snoring. He brings a hacksaw with him.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that because, you know, old cars back then had like these tool kits, you know, and it's really cool. Like this Rolls Royce, like underneath the driver's seat, there was like a pull-out drawer and had all these tools. And he's just like, "Oh, I might need this."
Yeah.
He grabs it.
He brings a hammer and a hacksaw. And he tries to wake up the grandfather. The grandfather's snoring too much. So he throws a hammer at him, wakes him up. But at this point, at this point, it kind of makes the guard at the sanitarium suspicious because he had been hearing the snoring this whole time, and now the snoring has stopped. So Rodney pretends to snore. So they just keep pretending to snore the whole time. Meanwhile, they're hacksawing a bar on the window. They're cutting it. So that
Norm Grabowski is outside keeping watch and trying to sleep. But the act of sawing the bar and the snoring, you know, the snoring it covers up the sound of them sawing the bar.
Yes, well, kind of, yes.
Sort of, yeah. Well, to Norm Grabowski's satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, they cut the bar out. Grandpa escapes. The alarms were pulled, but they got out of there. Grandpa was in his nightgown, and he drives away with the kids. And he's like, why did this happen? Who could have done this? Who could have stolen the gnomes? Who would have noticed the gnomes? And Rodney again goes, oh, I think it's the guy from the freak show.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
he did
like
it.
gave him a couple free tickets to go to the show. So he just like the light bulb went off, right?
Yep. So they
Yeah.
drove to the freak show, and that's where he found the caretakers of the freak show. And they told him that
Yeah.
Quaxton is probably up in his mountain cabin.
Yeah, that was a funny scene how DJ got that information out of the lady. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll get.
He may or may not be in his cabin. Don't tell him, Margaret, or whatever. It's like, but I don't know anything. That's probably why you got the Una Merkel reference, right?
That's probably why.
Because
I agree.
in the Parent Trap, she's always saying like, nobody tells me anything. I just stay quiet. I
I
don't
just
mind
stay
my own
quiet.
business.
Yep. And
And
she,
in this
kind
movie,
of in
she
Mariah.
spilled the beans. Oh, Mariah and Summer Magic, you were going to say?
Yes, yeah, Mariah Popham.
Yep.
So
So yeah, they go to this cabin, and here we're reintroduced to Quaxton and his scheme to enlist the gnomes in his show, right?
yeah. So he has the gnomes, and he went out for dinner or something and left the gnomes alone, and they escaped from the picnic basket. Grandpa got out the window and left, but before Jasper could leave, Quaxton caught him and was
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Wait, I got it. Yeah, this is it.
that. Yes, he caught him by the tail and was basically like, you can't leave or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm not saying Alice
Yeah.
397. I'm not saying a word, not one word.
She's quoting Una Merkel in Parent Trap. I love that. That's just classic.
Um, but during this whole kerfuffle, that's when Grandpa and the kids make it up to the cabin, and the Grandpa basically hangs Quaxton up on like deer antlers.
Yeah. Here's a couple, like, Jasper's trying to escape, and Quaxton catches him with the fishing net. That's a funny scene. And then
There's Grandpa going
rushing in to save. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's such a fun scene. There's a lot of neat special effects in that
Great
scene.
special effects.
Courtesy of Eustace Lycett and co.
Great special effects.
Yeah, it's neat.
So they get back in the car again, and they drive by a gas station. Who happens to be at the gas station? Well, it's Yarby. It's Dr. Yarby, or whatever his name is, Mr. Yarby, and the two male nurses from the sanitarium. And they start chasing after the Gnome-Mobile.
None of this is in the Storyteller album, folks.
None of this is in the story.
And I'll tell you what, this lobby card set is just okay. We'll get to it. Go ahead. Yeah, they're at the gas station.
There's a car chase. Basically, there's a car chase where they are trying to get rid of Yarby and them. And this is one of the most fun car chases I've seen in Disney
Oh my gosh!
films.
Yes, this is outstanding.
It's absolutely outstanding. Like Jasper sitting in the back seat, he's bouncing up and down, bouncing up into the window,
Yeah,
trying to hold on to the seats. And meanwhile, the car that's chasing them with Yarby in it is slowly falling apart piece by piece.
you have a little story on that. So that was Vitarelli, the second unit producer.
Mm-hmm.
He says that they rigged all of these devices on the limousine to work the doors and the hood, and they worked with little air rams and switches, and there was a man on the floor that would operate the switches. So very similar to like the Love Bug, and this came before the Love Bug. So I think Robert Stevenson kind of honed in on how they did all of this work on the limousine,
Mm-hmm.
and used that to create all those awesome effects that Herbie demonstrates in those movies. So the guy on the floor is operating switches. The one real problem was they couldn't get the big limousine to spin out. Just couldn't do it. It was real stable. Except for everything kept falling off. But most of the sequence was just it was a lot of stunts with good drivers. So
It was
I don't know.
so
Maybe
fun.
Norm Grabowski is a car guy. You know, when he retired from filmmaking,
Yeah.
he started building his own uh, like T bucket racers kind of big. So maybe I don't know. I couldn't find anything on whether or not Norm Grabowski was actually driving that car, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he was. But yeah.
Well, and anyway, it's a blast. It's an
Hmm.
absolute blast. Finally, the car chasing them just completely falls apart, and Grandpa, the kids, and Jasper are able to leave without anybody chasing them. They meet up with Grandpa in the woods. This is before Waze. This is before GPS. They just apparently knew exactly where to find Grandpa in the woods. But it's a good thing they did because when Grandpa made it to the woods, after he escaped from the cabin and made it to the woods, he was able to find some other gnomes.
Oh, Nobby. Yeah. We were wondering,
Nobby.
like, where's Nobby? He was busy finding all of these guys.
Yep. Well, and at first, the gnomes came out. Nobby's like, "Oh, I found a bunch of gnomes," and these old men gnomes came out,
Jasper's like,
and
why are you showing me all these old guys? Aren't you trying to find me a wife?
um, but the good part about the old men is that's where Ed Wynn comes in, and Ed
Yeah.
Wynn is just he's hilarious in this. He's not like king of the gnomes or like maybe like a gnome mayor. What would you
Hmm.
say? Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
there he
would say
is.
like the gnome mayor, definitely like the leader, but I think maybe something that he inherited, and he probably has a council that really makes all the decisions. But he seems to know a lot, but he's kind of what would you say, absent-minded a little bit.
You think?
Yeah, but a great character, and Ed Wynn pulls it off to the delight of anybody that watches this. It's just total Ed Wynn.
It's so great. He
Yeah,
he he definitely picked a great role to end, I guess, end with.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, Jasper's like, well, where are the girl gnomes? Oh, well, you want girl gnomes? We got a lot of girl gnomes. And so all these gnome maidens pop out of the woods. There you go.
yeah.
And they, Nobby goes, well, Jasper, go pick your bride. And Ed
Yeah,
Wynn's character,
he picks Violet, and I love the expression of this one.
yeah,
She's like, "Son of a biscuit
yeah,
eater! I've been waiting my whole life for a young male gnome, and Violet, the shy one.
shy little
Well,
Violet.
not so fast, right? Edwin's got he's got. There's this ordeal they have to go through.
Yes.
I
Well,
love
no,
this.
yeah, no, like here it's not the men who pick the gnomes, it's the girls who pick the it's the women who pick the gnome or the picks the mate.
Hmm.
And so basically what they do is kind of like this is just a very crass way to put it, but it's like a greased pig competition at the fair,
Yeah, I love how
basically.
Leonard Maltin explains it. They dip him in a foamy pool, making him a slippery subject, and a Sadie Hawkins type race is on.
Yes.
Yep.
So he's covered in all these foam bubbles, and the maiden gnomes, they chase him through the forest. And the rule is if whoever can keep a hold of him for 7 seconds,
I guess. Yeah.
that's the one lobby. That's the yeah, 7 seconds. They get to marry Jasper. So
Hmm.
at this point, Jasper had already had eyes for Violet.
I
So he
think
was
that's
running
Susan
away.
Henning right there, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jasper's on the run.
I mean, I think if he hadn't seen Violet, he'd be very happy with the situation, but he liked Violet and Violet could tell Violet liked him. So
Hmm.
he was running from all of these girls, but also trying to find Violet. And spoiler alert, a bunch of shenanigans happened, but he does end up with Violet, everybody.
Yay.
She catches up to him first and holds him for 7 seconds. And this entire scene is one of my favorites as well. It's look at that. Look at they get married
Yeah,
at the
isn't this
end.
awesome? Yeah, I know. It's so cool. Like they place this cool wreath of flowers over both of them. It's really a sweet scene, and he gets a
It is.
well-deserved kiss at the end. But that whole scene of all the gnome maidens running around, it's just so many awesome special effects and just girls falling. They're like swinging on vines, running into each other, falling off the vines,
Pushing each other over,
pushing each other. A
stomping.
couple of them get beat up pretty good. I'm sure a lot of these girls had pretty scratched up knees and elbows through this whole ordeal. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Grandpa, they have the wedding ceremony right then and there. And then Grandpa DJ, Mulrooney, goes, you know what, everybody? I have a certain amount of acres of untouched redwoods that I want to give to any and all married couples, young married
Hmm.
gnome couples. If you want to hop in our Gnome-Mobile, I'll bring you there immediately. And they all hop in and on, and they drive off into the sunset singing the Gnome-Mobile. And everybody
Yeah.
lived happily ever after.
This is so one thing about these lobby cards, usually they're really neat previews of the film.
Hmm.
And most of the time, I would say like 99% of the time, they are it's footage from the film. But here is one that you don't see. At no point in time do you see a scene like this in the movie.
That's
So
true.
this is just kind of like a production photo, and it's just really well done. And obviously, what's happening here is the kids and DJ Mulroney are in the car, and all of these gnomes are sort of airbrushed on there, I suppose.
Well,
There's Ed Wynn right there.
oh, there he is.
Hmm.
One thing I
Here's a
noticed, um,
okay.
or one thing that I read was Walt, when he wanted to make this movie, he wanted that last scene where there were gnomes on the inside and the outside of the car. He just wanted them bursting
Hmm.
with gnomes. But he
Yeah.
passed away before the film finished, and
Right.
whoever finished doing it decided no on that. So
Oh,
which
maybe
is a
this is an
bummer.
homage to
Maybe
what
it's an
Disney wanted.
homage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Here's
Yeah.
another one I like. This gives you a little perspective on their size. I love this one with Jasper. He's like holding the Dudins utensils. It's great. This is not in the film,
It's not in the film because the
but
maidens were not.
you see Violet. This is probably like their wedding dinner, and I don't know what's going on over here, but she's kind of like, maybe if this thing with Violet doesn't work out, you know.
She's like, maybe that knife falls on Violet.
Yeah. Or what's up? Maybe Nobby. What about? I don't see Nobby. Well, yeah. So this is a fun one. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
those
So
are
that's the
fun.
story. Yeah. Great job going through that.
It was pretty
So
long-winded. Sorry,
yeah,
guys, but
my favorite scene. I missed the chance to interject, but it is the scene where they're in the hotel room and Karen or what's her name? Elizabeth. She's just kind of hanging out, watching TV. Oh, here it is. This scene.
yes,
She's just hanging out, watching TV with Jasper and Nobby. You know, a commercial comes on, or the show they're watching is all about the redwoods, and you know, Nobby, he's kind of like in a bummed out mood. He's like, "Oh, we're never gonna get to the woods. Why are we here? Blah blah blah." And Jasper's trying to cheer him up, and he sees the redwoods on on the TV. He's like, "Oh, look, Nobby, it's the redwoods. Look." And Nobby starts looking. He's like, "Oh, my redwoods! How cool is this?" And the narrator of the commercial, he's like, "These beautiful trees, so tall and majestic, just ripe for the lumberjacks to come in." And they start cutting them down. And Nobby's kind of like, he's like starting to feel better. Then all of a sudden he hears, "Timber! Timber!" And Nobby just goes on one of those tirades. He's just like, "Ah, they're Dudins. They're cutting down our trees. We're dying. Give me, oh, oh, oh." So it's just such a fun scene. I just love Walter Brennan, how he pulls it off. He
He's
pulls
so
off a
great.
great Nobby. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. And then another one is, I got to find my notebook where I wrote everything down. It's on the ground here.
Was that the Walt or was that
We
the
we
Leonard
totally
Maltin book?
rehearsed this beforehand,
We
folks.
did,
You know.
yes.
Oh, it's the escape scene from Five Oaks where they kind of like they're coming out of they have to saw off the jail bar
Yeah.
so that they fit through, and Walter Brennan is like he's snoring a little excessively to kind of suck in some air so he can fit through. And they're out on the ledge and they grab onto this gutter and it bends and they fall all the way down into this greenhouse and crash through. It's just like,
I can
I don't know.
just I can imagine anybody who's watching this who's never seen the movie before thinking, what kind of trip was this movie?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching a Disney movie, if people explained the plot of Mary Poppins to you and you had no idea about it, it would sound insane.
Hmm.
And that's how it is with the Gnome-Mobile. But when you watch the Gnome-Mobile, it all makes sense.
Yeah. It's pretty short for a live action film, like just under 85 minutes.
Yeah,
And it
it's a
flows very nicely.
very nicely.
It's not slow at all. I really enjoyed watching this and revisiting it and studying a little bit about it. Um, I did have some fun facts. You want me to share those before we say
Yes.
goodbye to everybody?
Yes.
These are some cool things that you and I kind of chatted about the other day. So, uh, one more page. I'm sorry. Here we go. You mentioned that the book was by Upton Sinclair.
Hmm.
Sinclair wanted Walt to make a film. I think that he wrote the book in the 30s. He really wanted
Yes.
Walt to make. He wrote the book for the purpose of Walt to make a film out of it. And at first, he was thinking it would be an animated film, and not until a couple of decades later, and after the success of Disney's live action films, did Walt grant Sinclair's wish to make this a film. Yeah, it's Leonard Maltin says it's one of the best live action films. He said even though it was a medium success at the box office, the film has no lasting reputation, which it most certainly deserves. And perhaps time will open more people's eyes to the excellence of this zesty comedy fantasy, which ranks among Disney's best. Wow, yeah, and I agree. It deserves a lot more attention, and I'm glad we picked this one to
It,
to talk about. Alice says the Gnome-Mobile song is a total earworm. It really sticks in your head. Yeah, I mean,
I
Alice,
agree.
I've had this song in my head like all week, all week
I
long.
absolutely agree with that one.
Yeah, it's a great. It's just a great Sherman Brothers song. It's simple, it's fun, it's an earworm, and that's really what they tried to do. When the Sherman Brothers wrote their songs, they were so
Hmm.
good at that. Just writing these tunes that stick in your head, either for good or bad.
Yeah.
Mostly good. So a little bit about the car, the 1930 Rolls Royce. So Arthur Vitarelli, again, the second unit director, he went out and found the Rolls Royce for the picture, which was fun because he really likes cars. And he found this just shopping around the LA area and found a good running Rolls. The clutch was very tender, but they kept burning out the clutch during shooting, so they had to replace it several times.
Oh my.
Yeah, maybe because Elizabeth kept pressing too hard on the clutch pedal.
Yeah, but she was down there on that plush carpet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the interior. That's another thing. So the car, when you're looking at the gnomes, so there's the scenes where they're singing the song, and everybody's in the grandpa and the kids are in the front seat,
Hmm.
and the gnomes are in the back seat. That's the same process they use in the Parent Trap, the sodium vapor process, where they would, put the film strips together to show the gnomes in the back.
Oh,
Those weren't
yes. Yep.
filmed simultaneously, obviously. So sodium vapor process, and then the back seat itself is a giant set. It's the exact same as the Rolls Royce, the actual size, but it's built so that it looks like full size Tom Lowell and Walter Brennan look like gnomes on it. It's just a huge backseat stationary set. That when the gnomes are sitting on it, it makes them look really tiny. So,
Yeah.
and that set piece, as well as the Gnome-Mobile here, the Rolls Royce, you can go to the Gilmore Car Museum in Hickory Corners, Michigan, and you can see that. Disney donated all these pieces to the museum. And Hickory Corners is about an hour south of Grand Rapids, an hour north of the Ohio or Indiana, Michigan border. And I'm just sad that I never went to go see it. I lived in Dayton, Ohio for 8 years, and I should have gone to see it.
I'm so bummed I didn't either. Like,
Yeah,
but the thing is, I didn't know about it until
me either.
maybe the past 10 years, and I wasn't out there then. But I'll make it. I'll make it. I want to go sit in it because you can go
Yeah,
sit in that,
yeah,
sit
you
on
can,
that.
right. I saw a lot of pictures of just people sitting in there and getting their picture taken. Yeah, that would be so cool to do that. Yeah, we'll have to make a special trip sometime.
I'm in.
Yeah. The last little fun fact I have, it was the film was filmed on sound stages at the Disney Studios, of course, the matte paintings by Ellen Shaw, and on location at California's Big Basin State Park, which is about an hour north and a little bit east of Santa Cruz. So,
The the one thing is, so you know this, but I work in television, and
mhm.
I did work on a show that filmed on the Disney lot. And our show took up 3 sound stages, and one of the sound stages was one where they filmed the Gnome-Mobile. And so I was
Oh,
completely
awesome.
geeking out the whole
I
time.
bet.
And also, like when we had downtime or whatever, I would walk through the campus of the Disney lot, and I just was so jealous and very like in awe of the fact that how much history, and especially film history that I personally love, was done there. I mean, that same soundstage also filmed Mary Poppins, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Rocketeer, like
Yeah,
everything. And so it
that
was
must have been
just,
something else.
it was so fun. So,
I've been to the studios a couple times on a couple of D23 tours. I have friends that work in the archives, so they invited me to do a couple of, I guess, more
tours?
in-depth tours.
Yeah.
But not one of those included a trip inside a soundstage. So that's still kind of like would be really neat to experience. So that's awesome that you had that experience.
Yeah, I
Just to
think I
be
was one of
there.
the only ones geeking out in the fact that they filmed the Gnome-Mobile in the same
Yeah, I
soundstage.
bet. People are like, "Who's this guy? What?" Hey, we're weird and we love
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that'll do it for the Gnome-Mobile. Do you have any final things you wanted to say?
Uh, no, I just thanks for talking about one of my favorite movies ever, and definitely my favorite Disney film of the Walt era
That's
with
awesome that
me.
it is. I love that it's your favorite because it's not very many others' favorites. And so there's just so much to like about all these films that everybody has a different favorite. I mean, I can totally see that.
And I just hope anybody who's watching just and you haven't seen it, seek it out because it's definitely worth it. I
Hmm.
mean, if you're watching us, you're a Disney fan. So if you haven't seen it, you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's really just under an hour and a half. It's a something you should invest some time in. It's just this great spirit of Disney, comedy, fantasy. It has all those elements that make a Disney film just so magical.
Hmm.
It's got a great song, a great cast, great artistry, uh,
Visual effects, special
great
effects.
visual. Yeah, it's got everything. So yeah, T. Basner Art says I'll see it. Good, awesome. Let us know.
Yes,
I'll post
definitely
this
let us know.
video on Instagram and let us know what you think. Just comment on it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I didn't mention this at the top, but Jared has agreed to doing one of these live action reviews every couple of weeks. And so going forward, it'll be the Jared and Brian show. And yeah, I'm excited because this is something I've wanted to do for a while. And I think uh, we'll stay on here for just a couple minutes. You guys throw some ideas out there. What would you like us to watch and review 2 weeks from today?
Yeah,
I
I'd love
was
to hear
thinking
that.
maybe Dean Jones. One that I really have wanted to get into was the North Avenue Irregulars. That would be a fun one. Maybe we can do that in the month. But I really would like to do a Dean Jones film in a couple weeks. So
I mean, all of the Dean
yeah,
Jones ones are great. Even the bad ones.
maybe we can do. Oh, hey Jim Miles. Oh, he's one of my best pals. I love Jim. He says we should do the one and only genuine original family band. You know what?
Okay, I love that one.
That's a Walter Brennan film, and Leslie Ann Warren, John Davidson. Oh my
Kurt
gosh, should we do
Russell.
that? Kurt Russell.
I would totally do that
Okay,
one.
Jim is saying North Avenue Regulars would be good, and I'm pointing out. Jim introduced me to that film. What was it? How long has it been? Was that about 5 years ago that you turned me on? I was just getting into live action. He was rattling off all these films and mentioned this one, and I'm like, I never heard of it. Should I watch it? He's like, he kind of passed out for a couple minutes, I think. Because after I typed that in the message, I didn't hear from him for like 3 minutes. I think when he came to, he, he's like, you have to watch it. And so like that same day, I went on to Amazon, found a copy, and I watched it right away. Oh, People Mover. God, I love People Mover. He's one of my best friends too. Family Band, Blackbeard's Ghost. Yeah, I want to do a Dean Jones. Maybe we'll do Blackbeard's Ghost. What's another one? Blackbeard's Ghost. I mean, if we put that up against the Love Bug, I know the Love Bug's gonna win. But I'd rather do something that's let's do Blackbeard's Ghost. What do you think?
I'm actually good with Blackbeard's Ghost because that one I haven't seen in a minute.
Okay, it's funny. It's a
Yeah.
great film.
No, no, no. Yeah, I really like it. I've been busy a lot a lot
Yeah.
lately, and that one I haven't watched since my challenge, and that was a while ago.
Okay. Well, we'll do some brainstorming, and it looks like Blackbeard's Ghost and Family Band are like the two front runners. So we'll let you guys know, and we'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks everybody for sticking around. I'm gonna scroll. I don't think I missed any questions here about the Gnome-Mobile, but
Um, Questions? No.
no. Okay. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks, and in a few days we'll let you know what the next movie will be.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Bye bye.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. See you, Jared.
All right. Bye bye.